By golly, it's amazing. It sounds like something you'd hear on the radio.
Presenting the transcription feature.
The Lucky Strike program starring Jack Benny with Mary Livingston, Phil Harris, Rochester Dennis Day, and yours truly, Don Wilson.
It's 8:30 New York time. Time to wake up America and stump the expert.
From Hollywood, it's time now for Johnny Dollar.
Kraft presents The Great Gildersleeve.
And now meet Dick Calmer as Boston Blackie.
It's the Phil Harris Alice Faye Show, presented transcribed by the makers of Rexall drug products.
And now it's time to meet the men from the ministry.
The Armed Forces Radio and Television Service presents the Bob Hope Show with Les Brown and his band of renown. And yours truly, Bill Goodwin. And now here he is, Bob Hope.
Greetings, I'm Kevin Lauderdale. Let's start things off with another episode of Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden. And in fact, we're starting off with the very first episode. I know we jump around a lot on this show, but I've never aired the first episode. And it's pretty amusing. I thought I'd drop it in. If the voice of Principal Conklin sounds a little different, that's because in the first 2 episodes of the radio show, Joe Forte played him, not Gail Gordon. I think Forte sounds a bit like Jimmy Cagney, personally. Just one historical note, Bobby Breen was a child actor and singer popular in the 1930s. He's actually on the cover of the Beatles album, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. So, from July 19th, 1948, Our Miss Brooks, the first episode.
CBS presents Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden. Our Miss Brooks is a school teacher. To be specific, she teaches English at Madison High. Connie Brooks is pretty enthusiastic about her work, too. In fact, in her own words.
Although teaching isn't the most profitable career in the world, you must admit the hours are appalling. But there's always my secret heartthrob, Mr. Boynton. He's the biology teacher at school. And a sweeter, more intelligent scientist never brushed off an English teacher to play footsie with a frog. But he'll come around. Even a biology teacher must sooner or later get a little biological. Meanwhile, I can dream, can't I?
Yes, Connie Brooks can dream. Even now, she's in the middle of the sweetest dream of them all. The one that comes right before 7 a.m.
Hold me closer, Mr. Boynton. There. Now kiss me. Oh, how does that make you feel? That's what it does to me, too.
I'll shut it off. Miss Brooks, you'll be late.
Kiss me again, Mr. Boynton.
Miss Brooks, you have to go to school.
For this, I don't have to go to school. Oh.
Good morning.
Well, if it isn't my favorite landlady. Oh, good morning, Mrs. Davis.
What in the world were you dreaming about?
Oh, nothing much. Just the school. I was giving an English lesson.
Well, from the way your lips were puckered, I thought you were taking a bugle lesson. Better get up, dear. Today's the day you're supposed to find out about that new job as head of the English department from your new principal.
Oh, that's right, Mrs. Davis. For 3 years I've been waiting for that job. 3 years of scrimping and scraping to get along. Now it's all going to be different. With this raise, I'll be able to run down to Miami once in a while, and after I've had the job a while, I might even go abroad. Paris, the Riviera, Biarritz in the spring, the casino at Monte Carlo.
Just how much more money does this new job pay, Miss Brooks?
$6 a month.
Yes. You better watch your step at Monte Carlo. Money goes pretty fast down there.
Money goes fast anywhere. I haven't been able to catch any for years.
Now hurry and get dressed, dear. I have a lovely surprise for your breakfast.
Another one of your surprise recipes, Mrs. Davis? I hope it's not clam fritters again.
You'll see, dear. Come along. Here you are, dear. Here's your surprise. Armenian pancakes. They've been setting for 5 days.
What else could they do?
I mean in goat's milk. It takes 5 days for it to get good and sour.
Sour goat's milk?
Here, try a bite off this fork. Don't pay any attention to the smell.
Oh, please, Mrs. Davis, no. Well, just one bite.
Tell the truth now. Aren't they delicious?
I don't want to hurt your feelings, Mrs. Davis, but if I were the goat responsible for this concoction, I would hang myself by my own beard. If you don't mind, I'll have to pass up the pancakes.
But, Miss Brooks, it's a crime to throw out these pancakes.
What's the crime? Carrying concealed weapons?
You've got to have some breakfast. Could I squeeze you a persimmon or two?
No, thanks. I'll grab a kumquat on my way to work. Hey, it's funny Walter Denton isn't here yet. He knows I wanted to get to school a little early this morning and meet the new principal.
Rather convenient to have one of your pupils drive you around.
Yes, my Chevy's still in the shop. I had a little accident Saturday. I ran into a parked car.
Oh, that's too bad. I hope you reported it to the police.
I didn't have to. They were sitting in the car.
Oh, that's good.
I'll get it.
Hello, Miss Brooks.
Come in, Walter.
Well, Walter Denton, how you've shot up since I saw you last.
You saw me yesterday, Mrs. Davis.
My, how time flies.
Come on, Walter. I've got to get down early. The new principal takes over today.
What's his name, dear?
Mr. Conklin. Osgood Conklin.
Osgood Conklin? Why, I've known him for years. We went to school together.
Really, Mrs. Davis? What kind of a man is he, anyway?
Well, the other children used to call him Stoneface because he never laughed.
Oh, fine.
Well, I shouldn't say never. I did hand him a laugh one time when we were out ice skating. He was practically in hysterics.
What happened?
I broke my leg.
He sounds about as friendly as a subpoena.
I'll correct any nonsense of this new school, Martha, or my name isn't Osgood Conklin. I've heard all about their lack of principle and discipline, and I won't have it. Do you hear? No one is going to interfere with my making Madison High a well-run school. No one. If anyone gets in my way, I'll crush them. Step on them like so many ants. Squash them.
That's nice. Pass the marmalade, dear. And help yourself to some more toast.
I hate toast. As I was saying, Martha, I'm sure that the faculty at Madison High is totally incompetent.
Oh, please, Osgood, you mustn't let it irk you.
Irk?
Drink a little water, dear. It'll go away.
No understanding, no cooperation. Nobody knows what a difficult job I'm faced with. It's awful. Awful.
Please, Osgood, can't you talk without barking? Honestly, sometimes I think Prince is the only one who can really understand you.
Prince? Don't mention that lazy mutt to me. Look at him over there. Dead to the world. Well, it's getting late. Now, where's my hat? Confound it, where's my hat?
Please, dear, don't bark.
I'm not barking, Martha. Once and for all, I don't bark.
See? He does understand you. Now be sure to drive carefully on your way to school.
Oh, don't tell me how to drive the car.
I'm not, dear. It's just that after all the work you put in, polishing it on Sunday, I'd hate to see that.
Stop worrying. I did the work, didn't I? Ah, look at her out there. Nothing takes a wax polish like a black touring car.
Well, Osgood, you'd better get started. You don't want to set a bad example for your new teacher.
I'll show them a thing or two. I'll show them. Oh, shut up, Prince. Goodbye, Martha.
Before we get to school, Miss Brooks, there's something I'd like to talk to you about. It's a girl.
Naturally. Who is it this time, Walter?
Well, she's the baker's daughter, Penelope Miller. When I kissed her for the first time the other night, I knew she was different.
But, Walter, you've kissed a lot of girls. What's so different about Penelope Miller?
She tastes like caraway seeds.
Oh, Gran. She's probably built like a pumpernickel. Now, look, Walter, I've got a lot on my mind today, what with trying to make a good impression on the new principal.
Well, all I want you to do is help me write her a letter, Miss Brooks. You see, she doesn't think that I'm mental enough.
I can't understand it.
And I figured, well, you being an English teacher as well as a woman, well, you'd know how to make her think I was brainy. You know, intelligent. I hate to trade on just my sheer animal magnetism. You know what I mean?
Well, you are a little beastly in spots, Walter. Don't blame yourself. Penelope just doesn't appreciate yet that a man is a thing to be treasured.
When will she appreciate it?
When she gets to be my age.
Oh, I couldn't wait that long, Miss Brooks.
What?
Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Brooks. I guess I'm not very mental at that, but you will help me out, won't you? I'll come over to Mrs. Davis's tonight and we'll write a letter together. What do you say?
Well, I don't know, Walter. Walter, look out! That car!
What car?
That big black touring car!
Big black touring car?
It's not quite as big as it was.
You young idiot! Why don't you watch where you... My fenders, my shining fenders lying in the gutter.
Walter, put the man's fenders back on.
Oh, gee, mister, I didn't
You
mean
didn't mean. Why didn't you look where you were going?
Well, gosh, it takes two to make an accident.
A brilliant observation. But it just happens that I was only going 15 miles an hour.
You should have been going 30. We'd have missed you by a block.
Now, see here, you red-haired joyrider. It was probably your fault.
My fault? Why don't you learn how to drive that hopped-up hearse of yours?
Hopped-up hearse. Now, listen here, young woman. I've tried to control my temper. But if you want to play rough, I can get plenty rough.
Walter, I've got to run along. I'll leave you to straighten out Barking Boy.
Barking Boy? That's the second time today I've been accused of barking. Young woman, I'll have you know I do not bark.
Who's your friend?
Go home, Prince.
Well, classes haven't started yet. Let me see. Pick up my mail first, and then... Oh, hello, Mr. Boynton.
Hello, Miss Brooks.
Isn't it a coincidence that we're in the same mailbox?
Not an overwhelming coincidence. You see, your last name begins with the same letter mine does.
Well, that's a start. You have such a quick mind, Mr. Boynton.
Well, it is thorough.
Personally, I think you tax it too much. Don't you think you need more recreation, if you know what I mean?
Well, carrying on my biology experiments is recreation enough.
You don't know what I mean.
Of course, I also collect stamps.
Oh, that sounds exciting. There's no end to the possibilities. Have you ever tried your hand at beadwork?
Well, no, I don't believe I have. Is it fun?
Fun? Why, it makes you just tingle all over.
We must string a few together sometime.
Mm-hmm. And basket weaving can be thrilling, too.
Oh, really?
Yes, if we're both in the same basket. Well, so much for the world of sports.
Miss Brooks, if you don't mind my changing the subject, are you going to be busy tonight?
Busy? Me? Mr. Boynton, I couldn't be unbusier.
Well, I'd like to come over after dinner. That is, if we can be alone.
Alone? We'll be absolutely isolated. I hope you don't think I'm too forward, Mr. Boynton, but I've anticipated this moment for quite a while. Remember the day about 5 years ago when I first came to Madison High, rounded a turn in the corridor, and bumped smack into you?
Oh, yes, I was teaching chemistry then. You put quite a dent in my Bunsen burner.
Yeah. Well, you know, that was the day I first suspected that we'd be more to each other than just fellow faculty members.
And when were your suspicions confirmed, Miss Brooks?
On our very next date, when you took me to lunch, 2 years later. Gad, you were a fast worker.
I don't blame you for kidding me, Miss Brooks. I guess I'm not much of a whirlwind romantically. And most scientific people aren't. You see, the study of evolution alone tends to slow down any of the mere intemperate reflexes.
Mm-hmm.
You must realize that a tremendous period of time was involved before the single cell divided itself in the sea and adapted itself to the land and the air.
Mm-hmm.
Countless centuries passed before lower forms of life assumed their new shapes, and generations before the mammal family produced the ape family, and before the ape family produced the human family.
What have you been waiting for me to do? Slip back a notch? Well, what time do you think you'll be able to come over tonight, Mr. Boynton?
Mr. Boynton, Miss Brooks, let us not tarry. Your new principal, Mr. Conklin, is due at any moment.
Oh, we'll be sorry to see you go, Mr. Darwell.
Yes, you've been a wonderful principal, Mr. Darwell. Why did the Board of Education decide to have you transferred?
Ours not to reason why. Ours but to teach and die. As the great Socrates so aptly phrased it, if you gotta go, you gotta go. Of course, I am genuinely sorry to leave old Madison High, but then we're teachers, and teachers can't afford sentiment.
We can't afford anything. As the great Professor Einstein so aptly phrased it, murder, ain't it? You know, I still hope I can land that job as head of the English department, though.
Well, that will depend upon the impression you make on Mr. Conklin. I'm taking him on a tour of inspection as soon as he arrives, Miss Brooks. Your class will be the first one visited.
Oh, the first class visited? Oh, gosh, Mr. Boynton, if I'm to impress Conklin, I'll have to hurry and get things in order. I better go in and erase the children and see that the blackboards aren't throwing spitballs.
Poor Miss Brooks, you're a bundle of nerves. You look sort of faint. Here, I'll put my arms around you until you steady yourself.
Oh, no, you won't, Mr. Boynton. Just because you happen to catch me at a weak moment, I'm not letting you put your arms around me. My father told me about men like you.
Then why are you putting your arms around me?
My mother told me about men like you, too. All right now, class, please let me have your attention. As many of you know, our new principal, Mr. Osgood Conklin, takes over his duties today. So, if he should drop in here at any time, there's no reason for any of us to be nervous, self-conscious, or head of the English department. I mean, we'll just go on in our normal manner. Now, to take up where we left off yesterday...
Pardon me, Miss Brooks, but Mr. Conklin and I just happened to be passing by.
Oh, why, come right in, Mr. Darwell.
This way, Mr. Conklin. Thank you. Mr. Conklin, this is our Miss Brooks.
How do you do, Miss Brooks? Glad to make your... Wait a minute.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Conklin. Glad to make your acquaintance, too.
Oh? You two have met?
We sort of ran into each other this morning.
Ah, well, this is the young lady in the accident I told you about.
Well, Mr. Conklin, I have an idea. Why don't we skip English and drop in on the...
Now that I know just who Miss Brooks is, I'm particularly interested in watching her conduct her class. Go right on, Miss Brooks.
Well, all right, Mr. Conklin. Now, class, I'm going to read some lines to you, which I'd like you to... I'd like you to... Well, I want you to tell me whom... No, who? I'd like the name of the author of the following stuff. Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Conklin, not to praise him. That is to bury Caesar. Hand, please? No hands? You've all got them, you know. Just look at the ends of your sleeves. Oh, there's a hand. Winona. I can always depend on Winona. Who wrote those lines, Winona?
I don't know. I just want to leave the room.
Never mind the blindfold, Captain. Just give me a cigarette.
Come in, Miss Brooks. How is everything?
Well, frankly, Mr. Boynton, I'm a little tired. I just lost 2 out of 3 falls to Mr. Conklin.
Oh, you've met the new principal, eh? What's he like?
He looks like he was weaned on a vinegar popsicle. Mr. Boynton, I just dropped by to see what time you're coming over tonight.
Tonight?
Yes, one of my students is stopping by for a few minutes. I promised to write an intellectual letter for him to a girlfriend he's trying to impress, Penelope Miller.
Penelope Miller.
Yes, she tastes like caraway seeds. If you could just let me know what time you're coming over.
Well, I'm not sure about tonight at all right now. I'm quite worried about Violet.
Violet?
Yes, the white mouse I use in some of my experiments. Steady, Violet, dear. Steady, dear. I'm just going to hold you for a minute.
Mr. Boynton, if you could
I don't like the feel of her stomach.
Mr. Boynton...
It's lumpy.
Well, Mr. Boynton, you told me this morning...
Well, frankly, Miss Brooks, at that time I didn't know about Violet's condition. You understand I have to...
I know. You have to sit up with a lumpy mouse.
Well, she's terribly peaked lately. I don't know what it is. I think I better have a look at her cage. Hold on a minute, will you? Here.
Miss Brooks, you dropped Violet!
She attacked me!
Miss Brooks! Miss Brooks, get down off that desk!
I can't! Oh, I see her. She's under that... She's under the table!
I'll get her if you just stop that screaming. And let go of your skirts!
And this, Mr. Conklin, is our biology laboratory. Why, Miss Brooks, what are you doing on that desk? And where is Mr. Boynton?
He's under the table with Violet.
With Violet? So that's what goes on in the biology laboratory of Madison High.
Oh, but Mr. Conklin, I'm sure...
So
Mr.
am I
Boynton
very sure. Come, Mr. Darwell. I'll be back when Violet is out from under the table.
Oh, no.
Oh, I've got her, Miss Brooks. Poor thing was scared to death. Here. And look at her. Isn't she sweet? Isn't Violet a beauty?
She's ravishing. And may I tell you something else, Mr. Boynton?
What's that?
You make a lovely couple.
Hello, principal's office. Osgood Conklin speaking. Who's calling, please? Mrs. Davis. Margaret Davis? Oh, yes, the girl I used to go ice skating with. Ha, ha, ha. How's your leg? What's that? You want me to come over to dinner? Well, I'm afraid You say there's a teacher living with you that you want me to meet. Miss Brooks. Well, I'd like... Miss Brooks! Now, look here, Margaret. I've already met that redhead...
Mr. Conklin.
Hold the phone, Margaret. Yes?
I'm Matilda Denton of the school board. I have reason to suspect that my boy, Walter, a pupil at this institution, has fallen into the clutches of one of your female teachers.
What?
Yes. He told me that he had a date with a woman tonight at her home.
Uh-huh.
And here, this note fell out of his pocket when he came home from school.
Let me read that, please. At last, I've got what I want. Red hair and a tough, sturdy body. Red hair? Good heavens!
Well, Mr. Conklin, have you any idea who this nefarious woman might be?
Yes, I have, Mrs. Denton. Pardon me. Hello, are you still there, Mrs. Davis? No, I haven't been to a Turkish bath. Now, listen, I have reconsidered. I shall be delighted to dine this evening with you and, Miss Brooks.
Mr. Conklin, I'll give you just 24 hours to find out who my boy is traipsing around with.
Listen, Mrs. Denton. Listen, Mrs. Davis.
You'll get to the bottom of this matter quickly, or there'll be a new principal here at Madison High.
Quiet, both of you.
Don't you bark at me.
I'm not barking. Let's go home.
Well, Osgood, how did you like your dinner?
Very interesting, Mrs. Davis. I've never tasted this kind of meat before. Just what is it?
It's our usual Monday night supper. Seal burgers.
I'll take these dishes into the kitchen and see about the coffee. I make Bulgarian coffee, you know. It's strained through a grapefruit rind.
Now then, Miss Brooks, let's get right to the point, huh? What would you think of a teacher who would allow a student to become infatuated with her and then lead him on?
I think she was pretty terrible, Mr. Conklin. Who's the teacher?
Well, we haven't any positive proof, but the boy's name is Walter Denton.
Well, I think they both ought to be arrested. Walter Denton?
Yes, Miss Brooks. You can't deny that you were in the car with young Denton this morning?
But he was just giving me a lift until my car is fixed. I never see the boy at any other time.
Are you sure about that, Miss Brooks?
Oh, I'm positive, Mr. Conklin. Must be my laundry.
Your laundry at 8 p.m.?
I deal with the owl laundry. They only come out at night. Excuse me, Mr. Conklin. I'll be back in a minute.
All right, Miss Brooks.
Hi, Miss Brooks. I keep you waiting?
Yes, but not long enough. Look, Walter, would you come back some other time?
Come on, let's get into the living
room. No, Walter, no.
I'm anxious to get that letter started.
Oh, not so loud, Walter. Mr. Conklin is in the dining room.
Oh, the new principal?
Yes, and if he finds you here tonight, we'll both be out.
No, good. We'll have our coffee in the living room.
Hi, Margaret.
Quick, Walter, hide. Get behind those curtains behind the window.
Oh, yeah, but
I'll explain later. Get in back of them.
Who was it that rang, dear?
Oh, it was just a wrong number, Mrs. Davis.
On the doorbell?
I mean the wrong house number.
You seem quite nervous, dear.
Oh, I'm all right.
So, come and get some coffee. It'll calm you down.
Thank you.
The Bulgarians drink it flat on their back, you know.
I'll be flat on my back any minute, and I wish I was in Bulgaria.
Why, you're trembling like a leaf, Miss Brooks, and you're all flushed.
Well, it is rather warm in here, don't you think?
If it isn't too much trouble, Osgood, would you mind pulling back those curtains and opening the window?
Oh, no, not the curtains.
No trouble at all. I'd be only too happy to open the window.
And I'll be only too happy to jump out of it.
There we are.
Well, where is he? What's become of him?
What's become of who?
Bobby Breen. He used to send me.
Come on over to the couch, Connie. You're still overwrought.
Well, thank you.
Lay right down here, dear.
Oh, no,
I'll
thank you.
get you a pillow. You know, I keep pillows in the window seat just for emergencies. I always say you never know when you need them. Why, hello, Walter. Here you are, Miss Brooks. You speak yourself. Ow!
Margaret, what's the matter?
Walter Denton, come out of my window seat.
Aha! Just as I thought. Miss Brooks, where are you going?
I thought I'd run down to the Belgian Congo for the weekend.
Sit down, Miss Brooks. Young man, what were you doing in that window seat?
If you'll only give me a chance, Mr. Conklin, I can explain.
Go ahead. What were you doing in there?
Hiding.
Walter, tell them just why you came here tonight.
Well, I came here to see Miss Brooks. I thought we'd be alone.
Oh, ho!
Oh, no.
Well, she was only going to help me write a letter to my girlfriend.
I see. Now, let's hear you explain this, Miss Brooks. Here, read this page from Walter's diary.
Mine?
What is this? At last I've got what I want. Red hair and what a tough, sturdy body. Walter!
I wish everybody would stop saying Walter. Look, this isn't even my writing. Here, look at the other side. See, that's my biology notes from yesterday. I asked Mr. Boynton to loan me a piece of paper.
Mr. Boynton wrote that? Miss Brooks, don't you get it?
Get what?
Red hair. It's you he's writing about.
Mr. Boynton? Me? Just what he wanted? Tough and sturdy body. Well, I am strong.
Surely you're not pleased, Miss Brooks.
I'm not? I'm not. Oh, Mr. Boynton.
I thought you said we were going to be alone, Miss Brooks.
You too. What's happening around here?
Haven't you heard? I've been made queen for a day.
Boynton, I'd like to know whether you wrote this or not.
Let me see it, sir. Yes, I wrote it. It was supposed to go into my diary. What's wrong with it anyway? She is strong, and I did work hard to get her.
Oh, Mr. Boynton, please, not in front of everybody.
It took 23 generations of crossbreeding to get a red-backed mouse like that.
Red-backed mouse?
Mouse? Amazing. Miss Brooks, I'm afraid I've done you a grave injustice.
You most certainly have, Mr. Conklin. You've placed your own meaning on unfortunate incidents.
But
You've accused me of misconduct with no proof whatsoever, and you've acted in general like a narrow, bigoted, unfair person.
But, Miss Brooks...
Mr. Conklin, I never want to see or talk to you again as long as I live.
Not even about the job as head of the English department?
Mr. Conklin, I've done you a grave injustice. Let's sit down on the love seat and talk this thing over,
yes.
Huh?
Well, we'll take it up first thing in the morning, Miss Brooks. I've got to be getting home now. Come on, Walter. We'll take the bus together.
Oh, we don't have to take the bus, Mr. Conklin. I've got my car outside.
Your car? After our collision this morning?
Oh, after I left you, I hit another car and everything snapped back into place. Well, good night, all.
Good night, Walter. Good night.
Good night, Walter.
Good night.
Good night, Mr. Conklin.
Good night, Mr. Conklin.
Well, now there's just the three of us, Mr. Boynton. Mrs. Davis and you and I. Gee, it's a beautiful night. Look at that moonlight streaming through the windows. If one would take a hint, there'd just be two of us. Two of us and one sofa. I said if one would take a hint, there'd just be two of us. Well, here we are, just the two of us.
Good. How about a little gin rummy?
That's the deal. Well, I blitzed Mrs. Davis 3 across, but I'd rather have lost to Mr. Boynton. He's certainly naive, my little biology boy. But though he's shy, he's glad of eye, and I'm sure he'll soon realize that the greatest thing he'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return.
How often have you picked up a newspaper and read about an automobile accident? Chances are you think of accidents like that as always happening to someone else. If you could count on that, there'd be nothing for you to worry about. But chances are also that those very people you read about had the same feeling until something actually did happen to them. All it takes is that one brief moment of carelessness, but it can cause a lifetime of anguish. In almost every automobile accident, there are one or more violations of the law. Yet those laws are made specifically for the purpose of preventing accidents. Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, is produced and directed by Larry Burns. Tonight's script was written by Al Lewis with music by Wilbur Hatch. Next week at the same time, Columbia will again present another adventure in the far from placid life of our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden. Bob Stevenson speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Now here's another episode of Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke takes place in the Old West, post-Civil War Dodge City, Kansas, and tells the adventures of U.S. Marshal Matt Dillon, a lawman keeping the peace out on what was then the frontier of the Wild West. You'll meet the Marshal, his assistant Chester, and Miss Kitty, owner of the Long Branch Saloon. As a radio series, Gunsmoke ran for 9 years on CBS, from 1952 to 1961, starring William Conrad. As a TV show, it starred James Arness and ran for 20 years, from 1955 to 1975, making it the longest-running primetime live-action drama on the U.S. airwaves. Gunsmoke was sort of a dark series. It dealt with serious issues. It wasn't just a simple shoot-'em-up. Gunsmoke is frequently cited as not only the best radio western, but among the best radio shows of all time. So, from October 24th, 1952, Gunsmoke, The Mortgage.
Around Dodge City and in the territory on west, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers. And that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad. The story of the violence that moved west with young America. The story of a man who moved with it. Matt Dillon, United States Marshal.
You know, Chester, a morning like this makes a man glad to be alive.
Oh, it's a fine one, all right, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah.
A little nippy, maybe, but just fine.
Indian summer hanging on and winter holding off. You know, Chester, this time of year, I wouldn't trade western Kansas for everything east of the Mississippi. Oh, good. Pedro's got a fire going.
I built the fire, Marshal Dillon.
Oh, good morning, Caleb.
I've been waiting in his jail office for a full 2 hours. What time do you start work, Marshal?
You know Caleb Andrews, don't you, Chester?
Oh, yes, indeed. How are you, Mr. Andrews?
Marshal, I have an order here from the U.S. District Court. I believe it's your job to serve such orders.
Yeah, it is. I don't get them often, though. Order of foreclosure and eviction on Ed Blake. Why are you doing this to Ed, Caleb?
The man borrowed money from me. He gave me a mortgage on his farm and household effects. He can't pay it. Why do you think I'm doing it?
It only came due 3 days ago. You sure didn't waste any time.
I'm not interested in your opinions, Marshal Dillon.
Yeah, amount of the mortgage. $420. What do you need with $420? You own half of Ford County now.
Marshal, it's not your place.
You know as well as I do why Ed Blake can't pay this off. His horse rolled on him last spring and broke his leg. And his wife and kid nearly broke their backs trying to get a crop out.
I didn't come here to listen
if
to
you let this ride on through the winter, you'll get your money out of it. If you go ahead and foreclose now, you'll wipe him out.
Marshal, I already have foreclosed.
You'd break a man for $420 you don't even need, huh?
As I said, your opinions don't interest me. All I expect from you is to serve these papers.
All right, I'll serve them.
You'll notice they're to be served today.
I said I'd serve them. Now get out.
What?
This office belongs to the United States government, and as far as I know, that's one thing you got no mortgage on, so get out.
You may find I have some influence in Washington, Marshal Dillon.
Then see if you can get me a decent salary for this rotten job of mine.
It sure was a fine morning, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah, it was. All right, Chester, let's saddle up.
This is one job I surely wish we didn't have to do, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah.
My, this sure is a nice farm. Ed and Martha have put in a lot of work here the last 4 years.
We don't have any choice, Chester.
Yes, sir, I know. It's a downright shame, though.
Hey, Marshal!
Oh, boy. Wow. Hi, Jimmy.
Look at here what I got, Marshal.
Well, looks to me like a mighty dead coyote.
Sure, that's what it is. He's been killing my chickens, so last night I hid out behind the barn.
Yeah?
I got him with one shot, Mr. Dillon, and there wasn't even a full moon.
Well, that's fine, Jimmy.
Matt Dillon, how are you?
Oh, good morning, Martha.
And Chester, too.
Miss Blake?
Well, I'm glad to see you. Get down, come on in.
Oh, thank you.
Jimmy, now that you showed that thing to Mr. Dillon, take it away somewhere.
All right, Mom. He sure is a big one, ain't he, Mr. Dillon?
Yeah, about the biggest I ever saw, Jimmy.
He's real proud of those chickens of his. He's done fine with them. Well, here I am, though, keeping you standing out here in the yard. Come on, let's go inside.
Well, we really can't stay, Martha.
Oh, nonsense. You don't get out here once in a coon's age.
Yeah, I know, but
And you're just in time. Your favorite dish, Matt. I was about to take it out of the oven when you rode up.
Cornbread. Buttermilk cornbread, huh?
That's right. Ed's not here, but you will say, won't you?
Well, Martha, I'd like to, but, well, we just can't, that's all. The thing is that, you say Ed's away?
Yes, he's in town. Matt, you're not yourself. What is it?
Well, I suppose I ought to talk to Ed about this, but maybe it'll be better if he hears it from you.
Here's what?
Martha, I got a court order here. It has to do with that mortgage of Caleb Andrews. It's a order of foreclosure and eviction and sale.
No. Oh, no.
Here it is.
We were so sure he'd extend it. He knows what happened, why we couldn't pay it. We were sure he'd extend it.
Well, he won't. I talked to him.
Matt, how long before we have to get out?
5 days.
So soon. You were right, Matt. It is better that Ed hears it from me. coming on top of everything else, Well, I can't let it break him. I just can't let it break him.
Martha, if there's anything I can do, you let me know, huh?
Matt, I don't blame you for this. I understand. Well, come on in now and have some cornbread with us.
I couldn't. I'm sorry. Thank you anyway, Martha, but I just couldn't.
Matt, you look low all week.
No, it's just things in general, Kitty. Sometimes you get to wondering if it's all worth it or not.
The Blakes, huh? Chester was telling me.
Chester talks too much.
It's not your fault, Matt. Somebody had to serve the order.
Somebody has to be hangman, too.
Life's never all good, Matt. There's always a little bad in it.
Well, in my job, it's more than a little.
Try making your living sometime as a dance hall girl.
Yeah, I guess. But when you gotta go out and boot somebody like the Blakes off their land and out of their home, then you start wondering what's right and what's wrong, and so...
Well, if you find out, Matt, let me know. I've always...
Oh, there you are, Marshal. I stopped by the jail.
Well, all right, Caleb. What's on your mind?
That Blake family, Marshal. They were supposed to vacate today. Well, they haven't done it. I rode by there a little while ago.
According to the court order, they got until sundown.
But they haven't made the slightest preparation to... Marshal, I believe I'd prefer to discuss our business elsewhere than in the presence of this...
Easy, Caleb.
Matt, I'll go.
Caleb, you're going to apologize to Miss Kitty right now.
No.
Apologize? If you think I'm going to apologize to this cheap little baggage who's in it...
Matt, you shouldn't have done that.
Finnegan, take him outside and throw some water on him.
Yes, sir, Marshal.
Why not, Kitty? He had it coming to him.
He'll do everything he can to hurt you now. He'll take it out on the Blakes, too.
Yeah, maybe. Look, Kitty, I just got an idea. I'll see you later.
All right, Matt.
But, Matt, the mere fact a man runs a bank doesn't always mean he's got a free hand in everything he does. A bank has stockholders, a board of directors. I've got to listen to them.
I think they'd approve the loan, Clem.
Another thing, Caleb Andrews is the biggest account I've got. If I crossed him by taking this loan you suggest, Matt, he'd break me.
I see. All right, Clem. Forget it.
Matt, I realize I'm under obligation to you. You saved my life that time the James brothers held me up. Saved the bank, too, in fact, but...
That was part of my job, Clem. There's no obligation. I was just asking you as a friend to help out another friend.
Matt, I'd like to do it, but I just can't. Don't you see?
Yeah, sure, Clem. I see. Just forget it.
Gotta think of my wife and the two girls.
Yeah, of course you have.
It's not that I don't want to help.
I understand, Clem. I really do. Forget it.
There. That ought to hold it a while. That fire feels kind of good, Mr. Dillon. It's getting chillish out tonight.
Yeah, I guess we better have Pedro lay in some more wood.
Yes, sir. When winter sets in, it always makes you feel good to know you got a warm place to hole up. Be mighty rough not to have a...
Yeah, I was thinking of the same thing, Chester.
You suppose they vacated this afternoon?
I don't know. We'll ride out there in the morning and find out.
Sure is a shame. It's just too bad that...
Come in. Can we bother you, Matt? Ed! Oh, come in, Martha. Well, hiya, Jimmy. Come on up to the stove, folks. Come on.
Matt, the fact is that we kind of like to impose on you for tonight. We haven't got any place to go, no money. Wondered if we could sleep in the jail tonight.
Oh, sure, Ed. Chester, would you get a fire going back there?
All right, Mr. Dillon.
And dig up some blankets out of the storeroom, huh?
Yes, sir. Hey, want to come help me, Jimmy? Jimmy?
Now, you go along with Chester now, boy. Go on.
All right. He doesn't understand all this, Matt.
Ed, we may as well get your stuff out of the wagon, I guess.
Well, there ain't any wagon, Matt. We walked into town.
6 miles? With that leg?
I know, but that wagon, the horses, all the household goods, they're all covered by that mortgage. We didn't take anything. Except the clothes on our backs.
So help me, Ed. So help me if I could...
It's all right, Matt. We know how you feel. But after all, we started with nothing before. We can do it again.
But there's no reason you should have to.
We do have to, though. And that's that. Ed and I can accept it. We're not bitter any longer. Jimmy can't understand. He's been carrying on pretty bad, but he's just a boy. And in time, he'll be able to...
Dillon?
Yeah, what is it, Chester?
It's Jimmy. He grabbed a rifle from off the rack and took out the back way. I couldn't stop him.
What?
But where on earth's he going?
I think I know where he's going. And heaven help Caleb Andrews if we don't catch him.
We will return for the second act of Gunsmoke in just a moment. But first, that widely traveled man of music, Mr. Vaughn Monroe, will land in Pottstown, Pennsylvania this Saturday night. The Moon Maids, the Moon Men, and the Monroe Ensemble will be on hand to enliven the session. Remember, tomorrow night and every Saturday evening, it's Vaughn Monroe and his musical caravan on most of these same CBS radio stations. Now, the second act of Gunsmoke.
That's Mr. Andrews' house there on the corner. Looks dark, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah, you may not be home. I sure hope he isn't.
No sign of the boy around. Reckon he broke in the house, Mr. Dillon?
Maybe. Anyhow, it's 10 to 1. This is where he headed for. His mother said he was real upset about it, and it's just like a kid. Chester? There's somebody back of that tree up there on the left.
Yeah. Think it's him?
I don't know. Just keep on walking. Yeah, it's him, all right. I can see the moonlight on the rifle barrel.
Will we try to rush him, Mr. Dillon?
Well, not unless you're thinking of suicide. I'm going to talk to him, Chester. Jimmy? It's me, Matt Dillon.
Go away, Mr. Dillon. Better go away now. Don't bother me.
I can't do that, Jimmy. You're a friend of mine, and I figure you're waiting here to do something that you'd be sorry for, and I can't let you do that.
Nothing you can do about it, Mr. Dillon. I got a gun here, and I'm going to kill him. You go away now and leave me alone.
Jimmy, I know how you feel. I don't like Caleb either, but killing him's no answer. You folks feel bad enough already. Think how it would hurt him if you did.
Stop, Mr. Dillon. Now stay where you are. Don't come any closer.
I have to, Jimmy. It's my job. So if you're going through with this, I guess you'll have to kill me first.
No, Mr. Dillon. Now stay back.
I'm sorry, Jimmy. I don't have a choice. But you do.
No. I couldn't shoot you, Mr. Dillon. You know that.
Sure. I knew you couldn't.
I kept waking up nights and hearing Mom crying. Dad would sit up all night without the lamp lit, no fire, not saying anything, just sitting.
Easy now, Jimmy.
Why is he doing it to us, Mr. Dillon?
Jimmy, listen to me. Will you do something for a friend?
Yeah. If you say so.
All right. Then take that rifle back to the jail and put it in the rack. And go to bed. Now, you promise?
Yeah. I promise, Mr. Dillon. I'm sorry, and I'll do like you say.
You're all right, Jimmy. Good night, son.
I could have told you Clem Bates wouldn't do anything, Matt. He wouldn't dare. He'd be scared Caleb would take his money out of the bank.
Yeah, that's about what he said. I don't know, Kitty. I've done everything I could possibly think
Oh,
of.
the worst of it is everybody in town's just as scared of Caleb as Clem is. I doubt if they'll even have the nerve to bid against him at the sale.
Yeah, I know. He'll probably get the place at not much more than the amount of the mortgage.
$420. Matt, I've seen more than that change hands across a poker table here in one deal. You think that's all it takes?
I beg your pardon, Miss Kitty.
Oh, of course, Jack.
I'm not usually one to eavesdrop on people, but I have been listening to you, too.
Jack, have you met Marshal Dillon?
No, I haven't had the pleasure. The reason I butted in, Miss Kitty, I heard you talking about these people losing their home. I don't know this fellow Blake. He's never done any business over my table and probably never will.
No, I don't think he's ever been in here.
And I don't know if this will make sense. But the thing is, I left home when I was 10 years old, and I've been drifting ever since. When I see somebody like this Blake that sticks it out and works and fights and gets a raw deal. Well, what I'm getting at, here's $50 if that'll help him any.
Oh, Jack.
Well, this is awful decent of you, Jack.
Matt, I said a while ago that nearly everyone in town was afraid of Caleb.
Yeah?
Well, there's some who aren't. Like Jack here and me and the rest of the dealers and the gamblers and the girls and the bartenders.
That's right, Miss Kitty.
Because we're drifters. We got nothing to lose. Matt, I'll raise $420 right here in the Texas Trail.
By heaven, Kitty, I think you could.
Well, I can't do as well as Jack, but... here's 20 from me. Boys! Everybody!
Keep hold of that,
Now listen to me for a minute. I got something to say.
He's sure taking his time getting here, Chester.
Well, I told him what you said, Mr. Dillon.
Well, that ought to bring him on the run, if anything will. Anytime Caleb figures he's about to lose $1 or $2, it's hitting him where it hurts.
The Blakes turned in for the night?
Yeah, I guess so. It's been quiet back there for the last few.
Marshal, what's this all about?
Well, shut the door, Caleb. We're trying to keep it warm in here.
Would you mind telling me why I've been called over here at this time of night?
Yeah, sure. Here's $420. The Blakes want to pay off the mortgage.
They do they?
The court costs up to now will probably run about $10. I'll pay that myself.
That's mighty generous of you. Well, good night, Marshal.
Is it a deal, then?
I am not the least bit interested in having that mortgage paid off, Marshal Dillon. The Blake farm is worth about $2,000 now, and in 5 years it'll be worth 3 times that much. Land's going up in Ford County. That's why I'm grabbing every piece I can get. So I don't want the money. I want the farm. And when it's put up for sale, I'll get it at my own price. The foreclosure still goes.
I see.
Good night, gentlemen.
Well, I guess that's that, Mr. Dillon.
I don't know why I even thought he'd take the money. The Blakes won't get a cent out of the sale. He'll scare everybody off and bid it in a few dollars over the amount of the mortgage, and nobody in town will even try to...
Try to what, Mr. Dillon?
Chester, I'm going over and wake up Clem Bates. I got an idea, and if it works, we'll hold that sale at noon tomorrow.
That's pretty short notice to find an auctioneer.
I don't need an auctioneer, Chester. This one I'm going to run myself. All right, everybody. All right. of you know what we're here for. This is a foreclosure sale of the property and household effects of Edward and Martha Blake, ordered by the court at the request of that fine-spirited, good-hearted public benefactor and friend and neighbor of us all, Caleb Andrews.
Marshal Dillon, I refuse to tolerate this.
Caleb, I think we better get one thing straight right now. The law tells me I gotta conduct this sale, but the law doesn't tell me what I gotta say while I'm conducting it.
Get on with it. Get on with the sale.
All right. Now, the first item I'm offering is a breadboard. Ms. Blake tells me she's used this for nearly 10 years. That's a lot of loaves of bread, a lot of years. As you can see, it's pretty badly battered up. I doubt if it'd be worth much to anybody unless they were used to it. Suppose we started at 50 cents. Is there anybody here low enough to bid 50 cents for Mrs. Blake's breadboard? How about you, Caleb?
I'm not interested in the item. Get on with the sale.
Anybody else? No? All right, then. The second item. It's a crib. Now, you'll notice it's handmade. Rough construction. Never been painted. And it's been well used. Ed built it himself 12 years ago, just before Jimmy was born. There are teeth marks all over the slats here, but that doesn't really hurt anything. There are
Marshal Dillon, may I suggest you lump the household effects together and offer them as one bulk item?
I'm sorry, Caleb. I'd rather offer them one at a time. Yes. Unless, of course, you'd care to waive all claim to the household effects and withdraw them from the order of foreclosure.
I waive the claim. The household goods are withdrawn. Now get on to the house and land.
So ordered. Now, the item offered is 160 acres of tillable land, a 4-room house, and a barn. I won't read through the description. You all know the property. It's a good farm. The amount of the mortgage is $420, held by Caleb Andrews. All right, the bidding's open. What am I offered?
$450.
I have $450 from Caleb Andrews. Do I hear another bid? Oh, the farm's worth $2,000. You're going to let him have it for $450? How about another bidder?
Mr. Dillon?
Yeah, what is it, Chester?
Well, I've been thinking some lately of getting me a little place like this and settling down. I'll bid $1,000.
I have $1,000. Do I hear another bid?
It's a trick. He doesn't want this place.
$1,000. Going once?
$1,200.
Caleb Andrews bids $1,200. What do you say, Chester?
Well, sir, I think I kind of like this farm. $1,500.
This is ridiculous.
The bid is $1,500. Going once. Going twice.
$1,600.
$1,600 from Mr. Andrews. Chester?
$8,420.
He never had that much money in his whole life.
Do I hear another bid? Oh, what do you say, Caleb?
Do you think I'm a fool?
Going once, going twice, sold. The Chester Proudfoot for $8,420. The buyer will come forward and complete the sale.
Don't you worry none about me, Mr. Andrews. I got it right here. There's $8,000 in $500 bills, and here is the $420.
Where did you ever get that much in cash?
Well, I save my pay, Mr. Andrews. Then, of course, I drink just mostly beer. It adds up after a while.
Caleb, I guess $420 of this is yours. And that takes care of the mortgage. Well, Ed, looks like you made a pretty fair profit on the place.
Yeah,
Here's
a lot better than I expected.
Here's your money.
Thank you, Matt. But I tell you, I'd still rather have the farm than the money.
Well, now, I've been sort of thinking it over, Mr. Blake. Maybe I kind of lost my head. But when you come right down to it, I don't know what I'd ever do with a farm, so if you'd like to buy it, I'll take a $420 loss, and sell it back to you for $8,000 cash.
Done. Here's your money.
This is unheard of. They can't do it, Marshal.
Well, as far as I know, there's no law against a man selling his own property.
Now, the way I see it, Mr. Andrews, is right this minute you're a trespasser on my property. Come on, let's go.
Let go. Hey, Gracie, who do you think you're lying at?
Chester, you better get that $8,000 back to the bank. Clem Bates is probably worrying himself into a breakdown for fear somebody will find out that he let us have it.
All right, Mr. Dillon, I'll see you in town later.
Yeah.
Oh, Matt, I don't know how we can ever thank you for what you've done.
Not me, Martha. Thank the bunch that work at the Texas Trail. You know, they're bums and drifters, most of them. But when Kitty told them the story, they really came through.
We'll pay it back, Matt, every cent of it. And, well, that girl, Kitty, I guess I've said some hard things about her in the past, but... Matt, will you ask her to come out to dinner some afternoon?
What?
I'd like to thank her myself.
Sure, Martha. I'll ask her. And I think she'll appreciate that more than you'll ever know.
Gunsmoke, under the direction of Norman Macdonald, stars William Conrad as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal. Tonight's story was specially written for Gunsmoke by Les Crutchfield, with music composed and conducted by Rex Corey. Featured in the cast were Harry Bartell, Paula Winslow, and Richard Beals, with Joe Duvall, Lawrence Dobkin, and Jim Nusser. Parley Bear as Chester, and Georgia Ellis as Kitty. Gunsmoke is heard by our troops overseas through the facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Join us again next week as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal, fights to bring law and order out of the wild violence of the West in Gunsmoke. Here's a suggestion for Saturday listening. Fun for All, starring Bill Cullen and Arlene Francis, and John Reed King's great show, Give and Take. Hear them tomorrow on CBS Radio. Clancy Cassell speaking. And remember, you'll find Western adventure and music with Gene Autry Saturday evenings on the CBS Radio Network.
That's your old-time radio fix for this week. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. Be sure to subscribe to The Chronic Rift on iTunes or visit us frequently at chronicrift.com.
Hit it! Ding, a dink-a-doo, a dink-a-ding, a dink-a-doo. What a voice! What a voice! Simply means ink. A dink-a-doo, a dink-a-ding. Good night, folks. Signing off.